This is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball video recap for Saturday, March the 22nd. There were 41 games involving state teams on Saturday. Let's take a look at the action. We'll start with NCAA Division I. Wake Forest took a 10-0 lead over Clemson after 2.5 innings of their ACC game at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. The Tigers came back and almost won it. The Demon Deacons held on for a 12-10 win. Clemson cut the deficit to 10-8. And in the bottom of the sixth inning, Jacob Jarrell hit what looked like it could be the tying home run, but Wake Forest center fielder Javar Williams reached over the fence and brought it back in. Clemson wound up loading the bases in the bottom of the ninth, but could not get the tying runs across. So with that 12-10 loss, Clemson fell to 22-3 in the ACC, in the overall 3-2 in the ACC. Wake improved to 19-5 and 7-1. Out in Arkansas, the Razorbacks were retired the first two men in the bottom of the first. Then they scored 8 runs and rolled on to a 12-3 win over South Carolina to take that series 2-0 going into the Sunday finale. The Razorbacks are 22-2 overall, 4-1 in the SEC. South Carolina fell to 17-7 and 1-4. In Troy, Alabama, Coastal Carolina scored 5 runs in the 8th inning, but Troy answered with 4 in the bottom of the 8th and went on to beat the Chanticleers 9-8 to even that Sun Belt Conference series. The Trojans scored the tying run on a hit batsman and the go-ahead run on a bases-loaded walk. Troy improved to 17-6 and 3-2 in the conference. Coastal fell to 17-6 and 4-1. Down in Charleston, USC Upstate beat Charleston Southern for the second straight day. It was 13-0 on Saturday. The Spartans are now 11-11 overall, 2-3 in the Big South. Charleston Southern fell to 12-8 overall, 0-5 in the Big South. Johnny Sweeney single-doubled and homered for the Spartans in that game. Presbyterian had a nice cozy lead over Gardner-Webb in their game down in Clinton, but the Bulldogs scored 11 runs, and PC was tested before holding on for a 14-13 win. The Blue Hose now have clinched that series in the Big South. PC is 11-13 overall, 3-2 in the Big South. Gardner-Webb fell to 11-13 and 1-4. George, Derek, Floyd, and Yates Bland teamed for a 10-hit shutout as the Citadel clinched a SoCon series win over Mercer. The Bulldogs are now 13-11 overall, 2-0 in SoCon. Mercer fell to 15-9 and 0-2. Wofford scored in every inning from the second through the seventh and beat Villanova 11-10. The Terriers are now 17-7 in that non-conference win. Villanova fell to 11-10. Elon scored the game's first 8 runs, but they needed to punch across a run in the top of the ninth to beat College of Charleston 14-13 to even that Coastal Athletic Association series at 1-1. Elon is now 9-13 overall. The Cougars fell to 13-8. St. John scored 5 runs in the 10th inning and beat Winthrop 20-15. Even that series, non-conference of course. St. John's is now 9-12. Winthrop is 13-10. In Conference Carolinas, Quinn Allen had 2 hits in each game as Erskine split a doubleheader with Belmont Abbey. Belmont Abbey won the first game 6-1. Erskine took the second game 7-1. The Flying Fleet is now 15-15 overall, 5-10 in the conference. Belmont Abbey is 20-11 and 11-7. North Greenville evened its series with Young Harris with a 4-2 win in Game 1, but an error in the bottom of the ninth allowed Young Harris to win that second game 3-2. Excuse me, that was in 11 innings. 3-2 in 11 innings for the Mountain Lions. With that, Young Harris is 21-9 in the overall, 10-5 in Conference Carolinas. North Greenville fell to 25-8 and 11-7. Francis Marion had 10 hits and 13 walks in Game 1 and beat Southern Wesleyan 16-1 in Game 1 of their doubleheader. And in Game 2, the Patriots won 9-6 in that game. The Patriots are now 22-9 overall, 12-6 in the conference. Southern Wesleyan fell to 7-24 and 6-12. And I need to correct that first score. It was 18-1. I'm trying to read this off a couple different things. I apologize for any confusion. First score is 18-1. Second game is 9-6. In the Peach Belt Conference, Columbus State clinched a series win over USC Aiken with a 4-3 win. In that game, the Cougars are now 12-14 overall, 4-7 in the conference. USC Aiken fell to 13-16 and 5-6, and the Pacers have lost 7 straight. North Georgia fell behind Lander early, but rallied to take a win in that game. It was 7-3 for North Georgia. North Georgia is now 20-8 and 10-1 in the conference. Lander fell to 20-9 and 8-3. Georgia Southwestern won a couple of games over Claflin down in Orangeburg. First game score was 30-2. The second game score was 19-6. Georgia Southwestern is 20-12 overall, 8-4 in the conference. Claflin fell to 5, 21-1, and 0-12. Panthers have lost 13 straight. In the South Atlantic Conference, Limestone took the lead in Game 2 on the strength of a 5-run fifth inning and held on to split a doubleheader with Coker and take the series win. The first game score was 2-1 for Coker, and the second game score was 7-4 for Limestone. The Saints are now 14-10 overall. That is not 14-16 overall, 8-10 in the conference. Coker fell to 20-10 and 9-6. Carson and Newman took control in the middle innings of both games and wrapped up a doubleheader sweep of Anderson. First game score was 5-4. Second game score was 9-2. The Eagles are now 23-6 overall, 13-2 in the conference. Anderson fell to 17-13 and 6-9. Catawba swept a pair from Newberry. First game score was 10-1. Second game score was 5-3. Catawba is now 23-7 in the conference. Overall, 14-4 in the conference. Newberry 15-16 overall, 5-13 in the conference. In other games involving four-year schools, Matt Carroll was the starting pitcher for Bob Jones in Game 1. He did not get out of the first inning. Toccoa Falls won that game by a score of 17-11. But in Game 2, Toccoa Falls scored 5 runs in the top of the 7th inning to take an 8-3 lead over the Bruins. And lo and behold, Bob Jones rallied for 7 runs in the bottom of the 7th to win, thanks to a game-ending grand slam by Matt Carroll. Yes, he was the hero of Game 2 after being able to do much as a pitcher in Game 1. Bob Jones is now 8-17. Toccoa Falls is 12-15. The Bruins won their second straight weekend series. In Columbia, Isaiah Canty's grand slam in Game 1 gave Benedict a walk-off 16-12 win over Albany State in Game 1 of their Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Series. But the Rams had a big first inning and won the Game 2 24-6. Albany State is now 15-13 overall, 10-7 in the conference. Benedict is 9-9 and 7-9. Trey Williams doubled and homered to drive in 6 runs in Game 1 as Columbia International went on to sweep Carolina University up in North Carolina. The first game score was 19-4 for the Rams. Second game score was 4-2. Then they needed a 3-run rally in the top of the 7th to win that second game. Kai Smith had a 2-run single to put the Rams ahead in that one. Columbia International is now 17-13. Carolina University fell to 7-15. Wiley and Voorhees split a doubleheader in the HBCU Athletic Conference. Wiley won the opening game by a score of 7-4, and in the second game, 9-5. Second game, the score was 7-3 for Voorhees. Voorhees is now 13-11 overall, 10-8 in the HBCUAC. Wiley is 19-12 and 11-4. Down in Florida, Fort Lauderdale beat Spurwing Methodist twice for the second straight day. First game score was 16-3. The second game score was 15-3. Fort Lauderdale is now 25-9, and Spurwing Methodist is 10-20. In Junior College Region 10, Florence Darlington Tech swept USC Union. First game score was 11-6. Second game score was 23-9. The Stingers have now won 11 straight. They are 25-9 overall, 12-2 in the conference. Union fell to 20-8 and 10-6. Chris Hidlowski homered and drove in 6 runs in Game 1 of USC Sumter's sweep of USC Salkehatchie. The Fire Ants of Coach Tim Medlin won that game 14-0. Second game score was 10-2 for Sumter. And the other game involving Region 10, or other matchup involving Region 10 games, Gaston beat USC Lancaster twice. First game score was 9-5. Second game score was 8-0. Gaston is now 24-7-1 overall, 10-4 in the conference. They're now 2 games behind, or stayed 2 games behind Florence Darlington Tech. Lancaster fell to 12-18 and 6-8. In the ACC, Boston College beat North Carolina 3-2. Cal beat Stanford the second straight day, 13-4. Duke beat Virginia 13-4. Florida State beat Miami 10-6. Georgia Tech beat Notre Dame 9-5. Louisville beat Virginia Tech 12-8. And NC State beat Pitt 6-4. So the ACC standings heading into Sunday. Wake Forest is at 7-1. Florida State is at 4-1. Georgia Tech's at 6-2. Stanford is at 5-3. NC State is at 4-1. Clemson is at 3-2. Louisville is at 3-2. California is at 4-4. Duke is at 4-4. Boston College is at 3-5, as are North Carolina, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. Pitt is 1-4. Miami is 1-5, and Notre Dame is 1-7. In the Southeastern Conference, Auburn beat Kentucky in 11 innings, 8-7. Georgia beat Florida 17-2. Oklahoma beat Mississippi State 13-11. Ole Miss beat Missouri 17-10. Tennessee beat Alabama 9-2. Vanderbilt beat Texas A&M 8-5, and Texas beat LSU. I believe it was a 4-run margin. They were still playing as I wound up with this recording. Now in the standings, Tennessee is 5-1. Arkansas, Auburn, and LSU are all 4-1. So are Georgia and Texas 4-1. Alabama is 4-2. Vanderbilt is 4-2. Ole Miss and Oklahoma are 3-2. Kentucky, Mississippi State, and South Carolina are 1-4. Florida is 0-5. Missouri is 0-5. And Texas A&M, the preseason consensus number 1, is now 0-6 in the conference. Let's take a look at the schedule for Sunday. We have Morris in action for the first time this weekend with a doubleheader at Payne at 1 o'clock. College of Charleston ends up its weekend series with Elon at 1 o'clock in Patriots Point. Florence Darlington Tech is at USC Union at 1 o'clock. Gardner Webb is at Presbyterian at 1. Lander is at North Georgia at 1. Mercer is at the Citadel at 1. St. John's is at Winthrop at 1. USC Aiken is at Columbus State at 1. USC Lancaster is at Gaston College at 1 o'clock. USC Salkehatchie is at USC Sumter at 1. USC Upstate is at Charleston Southern at 1. Villanova is at Wofford at 1 o'clock. Albany State is at Benedict at 2. Coastal Carolina and Troy finish up their series at 2 o'clock down in Alabama. South Carolina is at Arkansas at 3. And Wake Forest is at Clemson at 3 o'clock. And that game is going to be on national TV. It's either one of the ESPNs or the ACC network. But it will be on regular cable type as opposed to just streaming. Let's take a look at some of the other standings that are going on. In Conference Carolinas, Mount Olive is 11-4 in conference play. They're just barely ahead of Barton and Francis Marion, who are both 12-6. Young Harris is 10-5, while North Greenville and Belmont Abbey are both at 11-7. In the South Atlantic Conference, Carson Newman is at 13-2. Lenore Ryan is at 12-3. Catawba is at 14-4, and in fourth place is Coker at 9-6. In the Peach Belt Conference, North Georgia is at 10-1. Georgia College is at 9-2. Landers at 8-3, and Georgia Southwestern is at 8-4. Flagler is at 7-4 with one more game remaining tomorrow. In the Southern Conference, the Citadel and East Tennessee State are both 2-0. VMI is 1-1. Western Carolina is 1-1. In the Sun Belt Conference, Southern Mississippi, Coastal, and Troy are all tied for first place at 4-1. There are 4 teams behind them at 3-2. In the Big South Conference, High Point is at 3-0. Radford is at 3-0. Longwood is at 2-0 going into its Sunday finale at UNC Asheville, and Winthrop is at 2-1. In Junior College Region 10, Florence Darlington Tech is at 12-2, Gaston College is at 10-4, and USC Union is at 8-6. Well, that's the South Carolina College Baseball recap for Saturday, March the 22nd. You can always read coverage about these games at PalmettoStateBaseball.com. I'm still waiting for the box scores from Saturday's Spartanburg Methodist at Fort Lauderdale game. Fort Lauderdale usually does their boxes the second day, but hopefully they'll get it in sometime Sunday. I can do it shortly after church and have those boxes posted. You can always follow me for updates on X at Palmetto Base, and I try to do coverage of all 33 teams in the state. If you see something you'd like for me to do, let me know. Send me an email at rudyjones@palmettostatebaseball.com. But for now, have a good Saturday night, and I hope you go to church somewhere tomorrow. This is Rudy Jones of Palmetto State Baseball saying Jesus loves you.